Good afternoon, everybody, dear friends and admirers of the peace. And it's a unique opportunity today. We gathered all together and with the greatest experts for creating peace in the world and to share their wisdom and knowledge how to make this practical reality. And the topic of this webinar is proposal to create world peace through the ancient Vedic science, through the yoga and yajnas. And first, I would like to greet everybody on behalf of the Zagreb-based Ayush cell of the Ministry of Ayush from India, on behalf of the Embassy of India in Croatia, on behalf of European Yoga Federation, and on behalf of the scientists from the MERO, and all dear guests which are present. So when we speak about the peace, it is the quality of the consciousness. We experience the peace first in the consciousness, and then it can be reality on the physical level of life. Because if the person don't have peace in his own consciousness, he is creating disruption and violence in the physical level of life. So what is the aim? For world peace means to create the peace in the world collective consciousness. And we know that the consciousness is prior to matter. And from the science, we have confirmation from that, from the ancient Vedic science and from the modern science. And even I remember one saying from Nikola Tesla, who was a great scientist. And he said that our brain, our nervous system is nothing else but the reflector, the antenna, which creates reflection from Chit, from the universal field of consciousness, from the absolute level of life, the source of everything. By the virtue of our nervous system, our brain, we are getting reflection of as a chitta. So the chit gets reflected as chitta, as the field of individual consciousness. And in that field of individual consciousness, we are operating. We are experiencing life all around us and having interaction. So the quality of the chitta or the field of individual consciousness can be equated with the chit when it becomes, the reflector becomes pure. So then all the qualities which are known as the principles and the values of dharma in the ancient Vedic tradition, it means all the qualities of yama and niyama, which are explained in Maharishi Patanjali Yoga Sutras, are the nature of the state of unbounded pure consciousness or chit. And when our brain, when our nervous system becomes pure, then all these qualities gets reflected in our field of individual consciousness. And if so many people gather together and experiencing that value, then they create those qualities enlivened in the level of collective consciousness. And one, I just remember from Maharishi Patanjali, he gave a very clear explanation of samadhi state, that samadhi is experiential value. The state of being is there all the time, millions of years. And the state of pure consciousness or being or the absolute level of life or transcendental consciousness. But when we can have but it needs the human nervous system to get experience of that level, then it is the samadhi. Then those values get enlivened. And Patanjali says one of the last of the 10 samadhis is mentioning is that Dharma Mega Samadhi. Dharma Mega Samadhi, Dharma are those values and Mega means the cloud. So it means that we are creating that cloud which starts showering on us all the values of the Dharma. all the positive values gets enlivened in the life of individual and the collective consciousness. And in our time, we had great, we can say, blessing that with us, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, great seer and the scientist, gave us the practical method how to experience that level of samadhi, the state of pure consciousness, and enliven those dharma mega samadhic value and bring the shower of these beautiful values, which are the nature of the life, of the universal life. And that this is the only technology which is the most realistic for creating the world peace. In that sense, the technologies which Maharishi Mahesh Yogi brought as a practice of transcendental meditation and TMCD program are very precious. And this is one of many, many calls, we can say, or attempts to create as many as possible people to learn these technologies and apply together for the benefit of the world and the peace in the world. And for that purpose, with us are the great scientists in that field from Meru, very close, those who were working with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, and they are promoting those programs, and all their life they devoted for the service for the world peace. So I would like just shortly to introduce them. First speaker will be Dr. Girish Momaya, and he spent many years working under the guidance of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, and he is a great scientist of consciousness and founder of, he was working with Maharishi, who is the founder of Transcendental Meditation Program. And Girish Ji received extensive education and training under Maharishi's guidance in all aspects of the Vedic science. And he is the director of the Teaching Maharishi European Research University, a Dutch foundation providing education, training, and services in the field of Vedic science, Ayurveda, and social well-being. So, and he has many, many more other responsibilities, and he is a very, very, how to say, loving, beautiful example of the Maharishi's teaching. And the next speaker is the Lothar Pirc. He is the owner and of the Maharishi Ayurveda Health Center in Bad Ems, and this is the state recognized clinic, and is one of the Europe's leading and repeatedly awarded institution for Ayurvedic treatments in Germany. And the heart of the therapy is the Panchakarma, the classical Ayurveda cure for detoxification, revitalization, and for the therapy of otherwise difficulties to treat chronic diseases. And he is the teacher of Transcendental Meditation since 1978. And also he is the founder of the Foundation for the Promotion of Vedic Culture Heritage in Nepal and India since 2011. And he is the co-founder and director of the International Maharishi Ayurveda Foundation in Netherlands. And on 2006, Lothar Pirc received a gold medal for honor and good for his excellent contribution for the revival and blossoming of peace, for greatness of mind and altruistic management by Russian Foundation, Patrons of the Century in the Academy of Science in Moscow. And also he received many other rewards for his work. And the next speaker will be Dr. José Alvarez Roset, and he's working, and he has worked with Maharishi Ayurveda Corporation in Latin America for developing and preserving the traditional flora of Latin America for the public health. At present, Dr. Alvarez is also the promoter of the International Congress of Alternative Medicine and Public Health in Brazil, promoted by the Ministry of Health of Brazil. And he is also the chief of the Interministerial Committee for Ayurveda and Yoga, Federal Brazil government. And he was working closely with presidents of various countries in the Latin America and Africa under Maharishi's development programs and directed research and development programs in the university in Spain, Brazil, and India. And also he is such a shining sattvic person, and his success comes from his sattva. And this is, once Maharishi said, the success of a great person is what he is. Like the sattva is gathering the means to achieve whatever that person wants. And like the honey is attracting the bees. So that purity which he is living and radiating is giving him great success in his all activities to create the world peace. And now I would like to ask Manohar Lal. He is the second Secretary of Culture and the head of Chancery of the Embassy of India in Croatia. Because ambassador is on one island and he had a very bad signal, he apologized, he couldn't connect to us. But Manohar Lalji will address us before starting the webinar. Please, Manoharji.
Namaste, good afternoon, respected Jadranko-ji. On behalf of Embassy of India, Zagreb, we would like to welcome respected Jadranko-ji. He always brings genius people around the world to connect with Embassy. We also welcome Dr. Girish, Momaya ji, Lothar ji, and Dr. RLuis Alvarez ji. The theme, create peace in the world through ancient Vedic sciences, yoga and Ayurveda, is a very excellent subject. And we all know without yoga and Ayurveda, if we are not physically fit, ill or sick, etc., we cannot find peace. So now I would like to give mic to Jadranko-ji so that he conduct rest of the webinar seminar for us. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Manoharji. And now, before the speakers gives their wisdom to us, I would like to invite our dear Maha Mandaleshwar Swami Suryananda Amadeo Bianchi, and he is the president of European Yoga Federation, which has 22 countries as members, and also including Russia and Ukraine, and also United Consciousness organization in India to address this webinar.
Grazie Jadranko-ji per tutto quello che stai facendo.
Thank you very much, Jadranko-ji, for everything you are doing.
Io sono il presidente della Federazione Europea, ma tu sei il vicepresidente e io sono orgoglioso di te e di tutto quello che stai facendo.
It's true, I'm the president of the European Yoga Federation, but you are the vice president. I'm really proud of everything you are doing for us.
Voglio anche ringraziare tutte le meravigliose personalità presenti.
I would also like to thank you all the personalities that are attending.
Molti dei quali ho già incontrato in Croazia, altri in Germania, e sono felicissimo di rivederli qui.
Many of them I have already met in Croatia, in Germany, and I'm really happy to see you all here.
L'argomento che trattiamo oggi è estremamente interessante, estremamente necessario in questo momento così delicato.
The topic we are talking about today is extremely interesting and actual due to the moment we are living now.
Sì, la pace è qualcosa che qualcheduno crede di non neanche più poter trovare, cioè non ci crede più.
Peace is a feeling that someone doesn't believe we can really find now.
Invece la pace è qualcosa per cui noi dobbiamo impegnarci quotidianamente per realizzarla.
But peace, in fact, is something that we need to work for to realize in every moment.
Uno dei motivi più gravi e più importanti per cui l'uomo non trova la pace è proprio il suo stato a volte di avidia, di ignoranza, di non conoscenza.
One of the main reasons because people are not finding peace is the status of avidya, of ignorance.
Perché egli, l'uomo, pensa di essere proprietario di qualche cosa, ma non ha ancora capito che non è neanche proprietario di se stesso.
Because every man thinks that he is the owner of something or of everything, but in fact he is not the owner of anything, sometimes not the owner of himself.
Quando noi veniamo al mondo, prendiamo in prestito, per esempio, l'aria che poi respireremo per tutta la vita.
For example, when we arrive in this world, when we born, we take the air from the world, which is not ours.
Infatti, quando ce ne andiamo, questa aria con una espirazione la restituiamo.
And when we die, with one exhalation, we give back this air.
L'unica veramente cultura che ha mantenuto fino ad ora, per così dire, i termini per far comprendere come si può raggiungere la pace è proprio la cultura orientale.
The only culture that is still maintaining this approach, the correct approach, is the Oriental culture.
L'unica realtà con la R maiuscola, come sempre la cultura vedica lo ha definito, l'unica realtà è quella goccia di divino che c'è in noi, che noi chiamiamo il sé.
The only reality, as from the Vedic culture, we have considered it the reality with the big R at the beginning, is the drop of self that is inside each of us.
Il sé che ci ha accompagnato in questa dimensione è il sé che è l'unica cosa che andrà via con noi al termine della nostra vita. Tutto il resto non ci appartiene.
The self that arrived in this world with us, and the only thing that we will take with us in the other dimension. Nothing else is ours.
Tante volte per far capire ai miei studenti questa realtà vera, gli dico, ma quando te ne vai ti porti il tuo corpo?
Sometimes when I want to explain this fact to my students, I ask them, but when you go back, you think you will take your body with you?
Ti porti il tuo telefono, ti porti la tua macchina, ti porti il tuo televisore, cosa ti porti? Cosa viene con te?
What do you think you will be able to bring with you once you will pass away? Your mobile phone, your car, what do you think you will bring with you?
Ebbene, tu non ti porti niente di queste cose perché le avevi soltanto in uso, in prestito, compreso il tuo corpo.
You are not carrying anything with you none of these things, none your body, because you are only using it.
Tu sei quello, tat, tvam, asi. I grandi maestri te l'hanno sempre detto, tu sei quello, tat, tvam, asi. Cioè tu sei quella goccia di spiritualità che sta dentro di te e null'altro.
As in Sanskrit citation quotes, you are the drop of infinity that is in yourself, nothing else.
Esattamente, esattamente. Volevo anche non prendere troppo tempo, però il mio concetto di pace è appunto cercare di risvegliare la conoscenza.
I don't want to take more time. I just want to underline that my idea of peace is a mindful presence in this world.
Ho fatto uno sforzo per essere presente a questa riunione perché l'ho ritenuta importantissima.
I just wanted to be present at this meeting because I consider it really very important.
Ma pensate che soffrendo in questi giorni di Covid, questa notte avevo la febbre, non stavo bene e per questo motivo fra un po' starò un po' con voi e poi mi dovrò ritirare, ma voglio dirvi quanto ci ho tenuto a essere qui con voi perché ritengo quello che fate molto importante.
I am under COVID in these days. I have the fever tonight, last night, but and I wanted to be present to thank you, and this is also the reason why I will attend not so long and I will disconnect after a while.
Quindi vi ringrazio tutti veramente dal cuore, siete meravigliosi. In particolare voglio ringraziare il nostro vicepresidente Yagya per tutto quello che davvero sta facendo da tanti mesi a questa parte col supporto dell'ambasciata indiana di Zagreb.
So again, I would like to thank you. You are wonderful. All of you are wonderful. And a special thank to Yagya that is working for the yoga community and working together with the embassy, Indian embassy in Zagreb, with a great cooperation.
Thank you so much for hearing me. And grazie per avermi ascoltato. Mi sento onorato e felice di essere qui.
Thank you for the listening you have given to me. I feel very honored to be here with you.
Thank you very much, Amadeo-ji. And now I would like to invite Dr. Girish Momaya to open this webinar and give us his wisdom and blessing from Maharishi Yogi for creating peace in the world. Now I would like to invite Dr. Girish Momaya to open this webinar and give us his wisdom and blessing from Maharishi Yogi for creating peace in the world.
Thank you, Yadrango-ji. Thank you, Yogacharya Amandio-ji. And thank you, Manohar-ji. It's a great joy to represent what amazing depth of Vedic knowledge that we have received from Maharishi. And this Vedic wisdom comes from very holy tradition of Vedic masters. We can see the slide, who lived that life in unity consciousness at every level of creation, at every level of life. They realized and lived that unity underlying everything. And whenever in the society, in the world, there was decline in natural law, they upheld the natural law. They revived the dharma value and created peace, harmony, progress in society. One such great revival we saw was from like about 1500 years ago from Adi Shankaracharya. He revived Vedic knowledge, Vedic wisdom all over the continent and created great harmony, great aspiration to enlightenment and peace and harmony in society. And in the same tradition, Maharishi's master, Swami Brahmanand Saraswati, who became Shankaracharya in somewhere in 1941, in one of the top seats of Adi Shankara in Himalayas. And Maharishi came to him, surrendered his life, and absorbed that totality of life, absorbed that unity of life, absorbed that total enlightenment, total Vedic knowledge. And after Gurudev's passing, Maharishi came to the world to give that gift, to give that amazing wisdom in very practical way that we can have. And he brought transcendental meditation to every individual in the world. A very simple, effortless, easy, and profound technique where we can align our awareness to that level of samadhi, to that level of unity, and reach that state of enlightenment. Maharishi gave that path, gave that knowledge, and at the same time, Maharishi applied the knowledge of Vedic science to bring harmony in the world, to bring peace in the world. He developed application of Vedic science to create world peace. And we will go deeper into the principles that Maharishi explains, which becomes basis of the application. Just like in science, the theories, when they reveal the truth of nature, then one finds the application of that to, support human life. Like that, Vedic science being subjective approach, like modern science is objective approach, and from subjective approach of the rishis, of the ancient Vedic seers, this solution to human suffering, to human problems, to create administration of human life which is free from suffering, free from problems, and to create peace in the world. And among Vedic science, two, yoga and Yagya, two approaches we will deal today in theories to create that, on which basis Maharishi created this application of Vedic science to bring enlightenment to individual and peace in the world. So Ved, which is basis of all the Vedic science, Maharishi explains, Ved is natural impulse of infinite, eternal, uncreated, pure consciousness that is at the basis of all creation, evolution, and dissolution in the universe. So from there, yoga comes. And what is the greater theme of yoga. Greater theme of yoga is unification of individual life and cosmic life. Yoga has quality of unifying. Yoga is unifying. This unifying quality finds its fulfillment in the lively experience of being or the absolute, the experience of samadhi or transcendence as is experienced in the practice of transcendental meditation. Transcendental meditation is a very natural, effortless process to experience that state of samadhi, which is the goal of yoga. And the yagya is performance on that level of Ved, that level of unified field of all the laws of nature that is responsible for creation and orderly administration of the whole universe. Vedic science are so profound, and at the basis of these sciences are these theories. And that Maharishi explains and applies. For example, in transcendental meditation, we go finer, from gross to finer levels of thinking process, and ultimately transcending. And transcending, that Yoga Sutra in Patanjali says, Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. Then the observer remains established in his own nature, Atma. Swarupe avasthanam, established. So that experience of transcendence, lively experience of our own true nature, lively experience of our own pure consciousness, level of pure knowledge, which is basis of all our creativity, basis of all our intelligence, basis where all harmony, all evolutionary power of nature, all value of dharma of our life spring forth and become foundation of our life. And that is the purpose, to evolve into that level of unity in life through transcendental meditation. And there Maharishi explains this Yoga Sutra, Vritti Sarupyam Itahatra. Tendencies of our mind emerge from here, from that self-referral state of unity, and remain there within that self-referral state. So remaining in that wholeness of everything comes every individual diverse tendencies of our life. And the purpose of yoga is to attain to that level of wholeness, which is most enriched level of life. Like we see in physics, the laws of nature, as we go finer, they unify. They unify to enriched state, to state of unity. And for example, at one level we see electricity and laws of electricity, and on another level is like laws of magnetism, and we see they are completely different. But when we go on the finer levels of space and time, then we come to one field, which is electromagnetic field. All the laws of electricity and all the laws of magnetism are all together. So finer levels are more rich, more powerful, and more unified and more harmonious. And yoga is to bring those values in our day-to-day life, that we live life on the levels that are more deeper, more attuned to laws of nature. And as we go finer, then on the level of science and the level of outer nature also reaches to that one grand unified field. One unified field which is home of all the laws of nature. And same from Vedic science, that unity that we experience in transcending is that unity same that is the unified field of all the laws of nature. And that state, in Vedic literature, one of the expressions I will say, Shivam Shantam Advaitam Chaturtham Manyante Sa Atma Sa Vigyaya. It's from Mandukya Upanishad. That reality which is Shivam, infinite silence, which is Shantam, infinite peace, which is Advaitam, which is non-dual, undivided, unified, is said to be Chaturtham, the fourth, which is beyond waking, dreaming, sleeping, that state of transcendence, that state of self. Sa Atma, Sa Vigyaya. That is Atma, that is worth knowing, that is to be known. Another verse, Atma Vare Drashtavyaha Srotavyaha Mantavyaha Nididhyasitavyaha. And this is also from Upanishads. That Atma alone, that state of simplest form of human awareness alone is worthy of seeing, hearing, contemplating and realizing. And that simplest form of human awareness experienced through simple, effortless technique of transcendental meditation. So many researches have been performed, and I'll show you some very profound, immediate like results that we can see, observe from modern science. This is the brainwave. Once this red line is like when one starts to meditate, and suddenly you see all the chaos turns into perfect harmony. Different levels of brainwaves come into intense coherence. On the bottom graph, you see that graph goes all the way up to 100% and remains there, 90-100% coherence. Before starting TM, there is all fluctuations happening. And then these graphs we see. The first graph is like 2-week-old meditator, brainwave coherence, and then 4 months meditator, and then the third one is 2 years meditator. And see the coherence that as one starts from like bottom, one is closed eyes, and as we go up is the time one starts to meditate, and coherence starts, and at the end of meditation, 20 minutes, then that coherence disappears. But that intensity of coherence is increasing in spread of frequencies as one progresses in regular meditation, and like 4 months it's already spreading, not only different frequencies, but also remains like after one finishes meditation, it remains there. And then third graph we see that it's spread further and spread before meditation, after meditation it is lively. So it's amazing technology, so profound, and it's gift that we got from Maharishi. It is like so authentic because it comes from that ancient Vedic tradition of masters, and that's why it is so simple to practice, and that's why it's so profoundly effective. Here in this next graph we are seeing that as one practices TM, the different brain areas get connected, so it's a increased coherence in the brain itself is seen. And not only that, we see on the level of whether it is biomedical or on the physiological level, on the brain level, but also much deeper. These days, researches are on like genetic level. Because Patanjali says that transformation that happen through yoga are like on the inborn tendencies also take place through inflow of natural law. Jatyantar parinamah prakrutya purat. So this inborn tendency get transformed, then that is like, what is that level? That level is genetic level. And epigenetic researches have found today that regular practice of transcendental meditation protects the level on the level of DNA, protects the chromosome. Like you see this red caps at the end of the chromosomes. These are called telomeres, and these telomeres, with regular practice of meditation, they get protected. They increase. The genetic response to that increases. Whereas in normal course of time, as the age increases, as the sickness happens, or as the stress level increases, then these telomeres decrease in length. And then that is the damage to the immune system. And with TM, they are found to increase the expression of telomeres profoundly. Left side is like, before practicing of the TM, and the right side is, the red graph is, just practicing TM, increase in that value very profoundly. And also the deep health education, like in, whether it's yoga or Ayurveda, and one practices regularly, routines are better, and health education is better, and practice is better. That also makes a big difference, which will give, protect one's health and immunity. So now coming to the application of these theories, and one beautiful thing is how that individual experience of transcendence is evolving to that level of Brahman. Regular practice and these two principles, like Mahavakya of Veda, Ayam Atma Brahma. This Atma is Brahman, totality, the wholeness. Another, Jivo Brahmaiva Napara, that Atma is none other than Brahman. That individual is cosmic by nature. And this principle is like, if we see the physics, we were seeing the chart, and then as we go finer, then we say, oh, unified field. All the theories of physics are like, here. But it's not just the physics, it's everything. All the laws of nature are unified on that level. And that is same thing. Brahman is like that universal sap value which integrates everything. Ayam Atma Brahman, that individual self. Transcendence itself is all cosmic. It's all pervading level of the field of level of Atma, universal being. And our experience on that level spreads that bliss, that harmony, that unity, and that is the basis of transformation. Collective coherence is possible with multiple like large groups of meditators and advanced practitioners which enliven that field. So just to go little detail, I will take 2-3 more slides and we will complete. And this is the first verse of Rigved. Agni mile purohitam yagyasya devam mritijam hotaram ratnadatam. And that Maharishi explains is how the self-referral mechanics of that level is creating, evolving, and maintaining the whole universe. Ever expanding universe is maintained on that level. Is it like one performs the Yagya, the performer is there, and the result of performance is there, and actual performance of Yagya is there. Same unity on that level. And that is, the functioning on that level. And what is on that level? Then says all the levels of all the impulses of creative intelligence are lively there. They get enlivened with that practice. And that is, Yasmin Deva Adi Vishwani Setu. There are the presence of all the devatas, all the impulses of creative intelligence that uphold that whole universe. And that is the benefit that comes to enlivening that level by Maharishi developed with that the Vedic technology to create unity in world consciousness. And the last verse of Rig Veda here, Sam Gachadvam, Sam Vadanam, Sambo Manansi Janatam. And I'll explain that it's a description of collective coherence in the world consciousness. That every one of us, the inspiration of our life, what we express in our life, what goes on in our mind are in perfect harmony. And it says how, like before the emergence of creation, how all the laws are in harmony, together in oneness. Just like in the seed, as it sprouts, before it sprouts, all the laws that are going to create that huge, big, enormous tree with all the diversity are in one lively unity. And from that level, whole society performs in that harmony. And that creation of world peace is possible through this group performance to enliven that unified field. Maharishi says group performance of advanced technique of transcendental meditation and TMCD program. And I will finish my lecture with Vedic verse. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. That is full, this is full. From fullness, fullness comes out. Taking fullness from fullness, what remains is fullness. This is eternal unity that Maharishi asked to enliven. A few groups in the world, groups here, groups there, everywhere, will be maintaining the world on a kind of lighted level. And when the light is maintained, there is no chance of darkness. This is the time for lighting up the light everywhere in the world. This is how Maharishi has given profound knowledge and practical aspect, application of Vedic science to create a world in peace and harmony and progress, and our life in peace and harmony and progress. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev, Girish ji. So thank you very much for a beautiful explanation of all the technologies of yoga and Yagya for creating world peace. And it was really great joy, not only the content of your lecture, but the expression and the flow and feeling that attunement with Maharishi's consciousness. And from that level, all the words were flowing through you and really enlightening all the listeners. Thank you very much for that experience. Now I would like to ask Lothar ji, our dear Lothar Pirc, to give us his presentation.
I would like to thank the Indian Embassy in Croatia, Maharishi, in behalf of His Excellency the Ambassador, for supporting the event, and Yogacharya Amandio and Yadrankoji for organizing this conference. And I would like to greet all the participants here. As I understand, we are about 24 representatives of national yoga associations in Europe, Ukraine, and Russia. And I have been giving many presentations like this to big audiences and to government leaders over the last almost 40 years. But when I started to give these presentations to yoga communities in Germany, I found that there is a very great openness, and they are more able, the yoga practitioners, to understand that this really could be an approach to create world peace. So I'm very grateful that you have organized this event, and I want to thank all those who are participating today. If you can please show the first slide. Thank you again to the Indian Embassy and to the Ayush Ministry for supporting. Girish already presented a unified field of all the laws of nature. And if we just start from our body and go inward, we have all the different systems, and basic to that the organs, and then the tissues, and then the cells, and DNA, and finer than that are the laws of chemistry, finer than that are the laws of physics. And the unification of all the different laws of physics is the unified field of natural law, which is a field of infinite correlation. That means everything in the universe is connected with everything else from our innermost self, which is the unified field. The unified field in terms of physics, quantum physics, and in terms of Vedic science, this is Atma or Samadhi, or the state of yoga, the unification. So when we enliven in our consciousness the experience of transcending the Samadhi value of life, then the power of our thoughts are much stronger, and we are connected with everything else. And I'd just like to take you through a few explanations. So transcendental meditation is not concentration or contemplation where we remain on the surface level, but we go beyond. We go through the subtle states, the peaceful mind, experience the inner silence. And as Girish already mentioned some of the scientific research on the brainwave, just to get you an idea how the research is conducted here. You see an example. And there are different kinds of frequencies of brainwave activities that are associated with different kinds of meditation. Like the gamma waves, they are associated with Zen meditation or Qigong or compassion or Vipassana. And the theta waves, they are associated with mindfulness and Kriya Yoga. That is what the research found. And the automatic self-transcending, what we experience as pure consciousness in transcendental meditation, this is expressed in the physiology through the alpha waves. And this is really the source of inner bliss and happiness, where we are connected with everything else in the universe. Now EEG, brainwave coherence, is associated with, for example, greater self-awareness, increased inner orientation, improved neurological efficiency, increased creativity, increased intelligence, decreased anxiety, decreased state anxiety, and decreased negative values like depression. So the brainwave coherence is something that can be really experienced and enlivened even after a few days of practice of transcendental meditation. And I know there are, of course, many different kinds of techniques for self-development. And there are comparative studies. Like here we see the chart of a meta-analysis, which is comparing, or which is the result of 32 different studies for physiological peace. And what we see that in a very effortless way through transcendental meditation, the heart rate is going down, the skin resistance is going down, the plasma lactate is going down, and the respiration rate is going down. Now there are many studies about the effects of transcendental meditation outside the meditation. We'll just look here at a few of those. This study here was conducted by the biggest health insurance company in the United States called Blue Shield Blue Cross. and they have 500,000 members, out of which 2,000 have been practicing transcendental meditation. And they were comparing over a period of 5 years the costs for the different disease categories. And as you can see here, for example, just to mention a few, heart diseases were reduced by 87%, tumor was reduced by 56%, infectious diseases were decreased, nervous diseases even were decreased by 94%. That means just by closing the eyes twice a day for 20 minutes and practicing the effortless technique of transcendental meditation, the savings of the health insurance over this period of 5 years with the meditators was around 50%. Now this study here shows the increased fear through different kinds of meditation. This is a meta-analysis. That means in this case there were 146 studies around the world that were measuring the effects of different meditation techniques to reduce fear and anxiety. And as you see here in the blue bar, transcendental meditation was more than twice as effective as other forms of meditation, or like placebo or progressive muscle relaxation or biofeedback or other mantra meditations or concentration techniques. There are in total around 600 studies on the benefits of transcendental meditation conducted in over 30 countries. Out of those 219 peer-reviewed studies that were published in very prestigious journals. And at the end of the presentation, I will give some websites where you can also look more deeply into this research. Now, we have been talking in the beginning, Jadranko was mentioning the structure of collective consciousness. So we have different levels of individual consciousness. And we also have different hierarchies of collective consciousness. So we have first the family consciousness, the city consciousness, the state consciousness, the national consciousness, and the world consciousness. And the world consciousness is the sum total of the consciousness of all the individuals in the world. And when we have stress and tension in society, that means there is something wrong with the coherence, that means the orderliness in the collective consciousness. Already in the late 60s, when Maharishi came to the West, he was asked, is this transcendental meditation also able to create peace in the world? And is it necessary that everybody meditates? And Maharishi said, when 1% of the population is practicing transcendental meditation, then negative trends like crime rate and accidents and hospital admissions will go down, and positive trends like economic growth and better climate, they will improve. And in 1974, scientists found out in 22 cities in the United States that whereas in average the crime rate in all cities in America were growing around 8% a year, there were about 20 cities where the crime rate went down by about 8%. And then they were looking what could be the reason, and at some point it was found that it were exactly those cities where 1% of the people were practicing TM. And large group of meditating experts can diffuse the tensions throughout society. And it was found later on through certain experiments in war-stricken areas, when the advanced programs of transcendental meditation, the TM City program with the yogic flying, are practiced under one roof in big groups, that even the square root of 1% of a population is enough to significantly reduce the negative values in society. And we had many, many experiments, about 53 published studies about the coherence effect. Here we have an assembly already in 1979 in Amherst, Massachusetts. This was a very big experiment for the whole world, the Global Taste of Utopia, where 8,000 yogic flyers came together for 2 weeks. And scientists have announced before the conference, the whole world community of scientists and politics and the press to monitor what would happen throughout the world. And just to give you a few examples, this is a historic case study that showed that during this time, when the number of people practicing in the group increased, that at the same time there is a correlation that the tensions in the world went down significantly. This study was published in the Journal of Conflict Resolution, for example. Another big study was done in summer 1993 with 4,000 experts of consciousness in Washington, D.C. And there were about 30 universities with their professors of sociology and the FBI involved in giving the data and conducting the scientific research. And you can see here, according to the time series analysis, this is a dotted bar during the experiment time. In the red or pink color was supposed to be quite high, and as the group was increasing during this time, you can see here the other line that the actual crime rate was reduced by 23%. In this chart you can even see better, the green dotted line shows the number of participants. They started during the experiment with about 700, and then they grew over the weeks 4, 5, 6, and then finally we had the targeted number of 4,000 was almost reached. And you can see, like a scissor, as the number of the advanced meditators were increasing doing their program in one place, in Washington, D.C., you see here the golden bar, how the crime rate was decreasing, actually by almost 25%. This study has a highly significant p-value. We won't have the time to go into that, but it's a really significant study. Also, global studies were done with other peace-creating groups of about 5,000 to 7,000 people in Iowa, United States, in The Hague in Holland, and in Washington, D.C. And you can see here that the international conflicts worldwide were significantly reduced during the period these experts were performing their blissful yogic practices. This is a very fascinating study that was conducted in Maharishi Vedic City in America, where Maharishi International University is. And you see here in the blue bar the number of participants in the coherence creating program going up almost unto 2,000. And you see when the peak was reached here over several years, all the negative values like robbery and murder and drug deaths, they all, significantly were reduced. And when the number unfortunately couldn't be maintained on that required number for the United States, then these negative values were rising again. And to accomplish this, Maharishi's worldwide organization is trying to educate people in different areas of society. Like here we see schools in India practicing together. Here we see groups in Mexico, in Thailand, in Los Angeles. Here we even see a military group practicing in Latin America, transcendental meditation and the advanced programs. And most recently, new meditators have started in Moscow in May 2022. And at the moment, we unfortunately don't have enough people to really have enough coherence for creating peace in Ukraine. But we are trying our very best. We have in Russia, we had a few weeks ago 170 advanced practitioners of TM, in Ukraine around 50, and in Romania, near the border, about 70 people. But we need to have for the effect many, many more. And one thing that is also very helpful besides yoga is the performance of the Vedic Yagyas. And I just want to give you a taste. We have different groups in India, especially in the Brahmastan of India, where they perform daily the Ati Rudra Abhishek with 11 times 11 times 11, 1321 trained Maharishi Pandits, the Rudra Abhishek for creating peace in the world. And I'll just share for you 1 minute that you get an idea how beautiful this is. So we have several groups in India and also in Nepal. There are about 80 gurukuls, traditional Pandit training schools, that have taken our program with transcendental meditation, and they're performing their program and the Rudra Abhishek at the same time. And there are tremendous activities of Maharishi's worldwide movement. This is actually the highest priority to create peace in the world through coherence, creating groups in the world. And a global union of scientists for peace with many great leaders and scientists from around the world was founded in 2005. And in 2017, there was a big conference where all the leaders in Ukraine were informed about this possibility to prevent war. But it seems somehow that the politicians cannot really understand that, because the collective consciousness is not always allowing that. And what is needed now, and this is why I would like to have the help of all those who are listening today, we need to create a lead in collective consciousness in Europe for a smooth transformation from the stress that we are facing now towards harmony. We would need either 7.5 million people who transcend twice a day, or, that seems to be much easier, to get a group of 2,730 people practicing the TM city program, including during flying, together in one place. Now, how do we get to this number 2,730? There is a formula in physics that you need about the square root of 1% in the laser theory to make the laser light a coherent light. And if we have about that number in Europe, I'm sure within a few weeks we would be able to see the peace coming up in Europe again. And I wanted really to encourage you to look deeper into that. We cannot really give all the information in such a short presentation. I have selected here 3 websites: tm.org for those who would like to learn more on, or to see where they can learn transcendental meditation. For those who would like to know more about the scientific background, the next website is the Global Union of Scientists for Peace. And for those who would like to support the Maharishi Vedic Pandits in India, they could also donate, because if we had a group of 10,000 people permanently in India, that would have the effect for the entire world. So I know that this sounds maybe very unusual, but when we look at the evidence of the scientific research, it really works. And I myself have conducted programs in Africa where we initiated into TM many big groups, and immediately we could see that the weather improved and the whole climate in the country changed. So it's really a proven technology, and I would like to leave now space for the next speaker, our dear RLuis Alvarez, who has a lot of experience and some practical suggestions for implementation. Thank you very much, and namaste.
Thank you, dear Lothar Ji. You proved the old saying from the Vedas that Sangha Shakti Kali Yuga, that in the state of Kali Yuga, or the period of time where there is an increase of some negative tendencies, the only solution to reduce negativity and to increase positivity and create coherence and everything is the power of togetherness, Sangha Shakti. So this is the only what can save. So many people, one person is not enough here and there, but all people, those who have a desire in their heart to live on this planet in a beautiful environment where the nature is totally balanced with all its blessings, giving us everything needed for life, and also the peace, then we need to come together and practice these technologies to make transformation. And our dear Dr. José Luis Alvarez Roset is a great exponent for that purpose, and his main aim is creating such a big groups and saving this planet Earth for the future generations to enjoy heaven on earth. So, dear Raja Luis, please.
Namaste, Yadrankoji. My pranams to Swamiji and our gratitude to the Embassy of India in Croatia and to the previous speakers, Dr. Girish Momaya ji and Dr. Lothar Pirc. They have already explained beautifully the principles and the practical research. So I'm not going to dwell into that. I think this is a time to remember one more principle of Patanjali, because we are in the family of yogis, and think what we can do together about it. Tatsanidu Vairaka, in the vicinity of yoga, violence and destructive tendencies get eliminated naturally. So we don't have to deal with the negativity, we just create the sattva, the positivity of yoga in a big way, like has been explained by Girish so well and by Lothar ji, and then naturally we have the effect. So the question comes what we can do together. We are in Europe, we are seeing our brothers suffering in Russia and Ukraine, and everyone suffers because it's one world. And do we have the knowledge to go beyond that and create an effect? Because yoga is not only an individual option. Yoga is a technology of social transformation. Yoga is a tool of time to bring peace in a more sophisticated way to the world family. And in that, all the different schools, all the different saints, everyone is doing their contribution because we are just one family aiming together to create a well effect. And we are very proud and honored that Maharishi ji offered all this supreme knowledge of the Vedic technologies of consciousness for society and how the Maharishi effect can create this Rashtra Kavach, this protection that is so well explained in the Vedic tradition. So just wanted to explain you that we are having a number of programs now that we are doing to research the Vedic technologies of well peace in yoga and in Yagya. And how we are doing, how we can participate, it's a matter of how we can collaborate together. so many people like yoga in every of our countries. And they are doing already beautiful techniques and beautiful practices. So that is all well and good. We just wanted to add whatever technologies we have that has been researched to create this effect for society, and join efforts as a family in Europe to create this effect. So we do not have to see unnecessary suffering, and we can just create the effect that is predicted from the yogic practice. And that is done in groups that they are doing it in the same place and at the same time when possible. And if sometimes it's not possible in the same place, at the same time, because in space and time, they are the two things they are the two things that we can manage in the yogic technologies to create a collective effect. So we want to invite all the federations, all the different groups, that they can gather their own people and they are doing their own practices, that we can unite and we can work together times that we can practice, and we can see the different groups where they are and what technologies we can offer, and then have our scientists to measure how many we are and see the results. This is a time for sharing what we have for the well-being of all. And we are privileged because we have been given from the Vedic tradition the knowledge of how to create peace using yoga and Yagya. And in this way, And in this way, we want to have the opportunity now to invite you. And Gianfranco, you are having a great leadership, and all the Swamiji leads all these federations of great devotees to the state of yoga. So from our heart, we are telling you, please, let's join hands together. Let's just think how we can collaborate, how we can unite, so we make a change of coherence together. From wherever everyone is, there are groups here, there are groups there, there are some groups. We are doing the same in India, but we can do the same in Europe, from Russia to Ukraine, from Germany to Spain, from England to Italy. Everywhere we can make a feel together, and respecting everyone's techniques and procedures and wisdom. We just want to add whatever Maharishi gave us to share it with you, not just to show you the potency and the capacity of this added to what you already are doing, which is so good, that has created you in a yogic base of life for you. So this is our humble offering to all the family of yogis of Europe, all of you, and we come in a time of need. We didn't want to have a Europe shaken like it is now. We didn't want to have the situation that we have now. Let's take resource to the knowledge, this beautiful knowledge of technologies of consciousness. And consciousness is becoming more and more a household word. Our leader in the Maharishi organization, Dr. Tony Nether, is making awareness in the world about the consciousness and technologies of consciousness. Let's show the power of the technologies of yoga, the technologies of consciousness in our Europe in a scientific way, united, in a way that we can see. We have thousands of people. We have so many. It's just a matter to organize ourselves, and you have all the leadership. The European yoga movement has all the ability to do that. We have our knowledge that we want to share. Let's join hands, please, and show to the people that the yogis, they are together to create good effects for everyone. And that was Mahershi's desire, that his knowledge can prevent war and can promote peace. And yoga and Yagya, they go together. The experience of collective yoga, the experience of collective Yagya, together, they are powerful tools for peace. So that's very simply what I wanted to share, Gianfranco. And if there is any questions or comments, I'm sure that Girish and Lothar will be there. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev, dear Dr. Jose Luis G, for your beautiful and in a so clear manner expressed the main goal and of this presentation. And this is to that we realize that we are one family, as there is ancient Vedic science, Vasudeva Kutumbakam, means we are one family. The whole world is one family, and the whole beings in the whole, not only the world but the universe is one family, because there is a one mother and father in the form of infinite level of silence of the absolute and infinite dynamism of the absolute, which is taking care for creation and creating all of us. So that's why we are all brothers and sisters, and we should feel like that and take hands together and join our consciousness. But on that level where naturally we are all together, on the level of pure consciousness, we all join together and enliven that level to share to all the qualities of that level to be infused in all levels of the life. And that eternal peace, when it is enlivened, then it can bring the peace. Only by peace we can create peace. So we need to enliven that eternal peace, which is there already, but we can enliven by our group practice of yoga, reaching that level, going beyond, as Maharishi Patanjali says, yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Go and then tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam, come to your true nature. And all together we come to our true nature and we feel it is the same, the absolute level of bliss consciousness, and radiate that quality. So thank you very much for your enlightening words. And now I would invite everybody who wants to ask any question to Girish ji or Lothar ji or Jose Luis ji, if you have any question. So if there is anyone wanted to ask, if nobody has a question, I have a question to Girish ji and Lothar ji and Dr. Jose Luis ji, that after such clear understanding what is really some purpose of life, because we think we have many purposes in our life, our job, our different duties, everything. But one purpose for everybody is to realize who I am, our true nature, and share that with everybody. And this is very obvious that there must be, we need to spend some time in that direction, to close our eyes and go deep inside us, to go beyond or transcend all the levels of activities of our mind and reach that state of pure consciousness. And to join all activities, there is a question when we can start and that we can start working on this, joining all the lovers of peace together and all those who practice yoga, and to create such a possibility for these practices together.
Very beautiful theme. And just very rightly you said, what is the purpose of life and who I am? And Maharishi has explained from Vedic science, from Ved, and Mahavakyas of Ved, that Tat Tvamasi, thou art that, and what is that? That is that Atma. I am Atma Brahman. This Atma is Brahman. So the ultimate knowledge of enlightenment, and ultimate knowledge of freedom of life, of establishing in that bliss consciousness. We said purpose of life is to expansion of happiness. Enlightenment is that establishing in that bliss consciousness, establishing at that ultimate freedom of life, and how from that to bring it out to the society level of society, that whole society lives in that freedom, that bliss, that harmony, that infinite joy and infinite creativity, infinite potential that exists on that level. And world has really evolved. If we see, just in the first half of the 20th century, world saw some horrifying experiences of World War I, World War II, and we went through a lot of suffering, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of problems. And from there to today, it's a tremendous change, that transformation that world has seen. And now, with Maharishi's knowledge and technology, we can utilize that for world peace and world harmony. And, this principle of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that world is my family, and that family can be really happy family, a blissful family, a unified family, a progressive family, a powerful family, one world, one family. And that is, knowledge is existing in Vedic science, and Maharishi has given a practical utilization of that science to bring our life out of darkness, out of suffering, miseries, to a light of happiness, light of bliss, light of all success, all achievement, fulfillment. And we can together achieve that. And that is the call of today, that, let us achieve that harmony, that bliss. I'll give to Lotharji to explain more.
Yeah, thank you very much, all three, and you two, all three speakers. And Dr. Lothar Pirc, he mentioned this number, what is needed, 2,730. May I ask, what is the plan? Where is planned for this group to be? Would it be in Germany or in Romania, or where? And how long and how far is the plan? All the plans has gone.
Yes, it's a very practical question.
Yes, it's a practical.
Thank you for that. It really doesn't matter where the group in Europe will be, but it seems to be difficult to get that number together, because people have to do it in one place to have the effect. So what we are doing now is we have this World Peace Assemblies now in Germany, in Bad Wildungen, near Kassel, where we have about 200-300 people on a World Peace Assembly, and then simultaneously we have the World Peace Assemblies in Russia, in Ukraine and Romania, but the numbers are simply not enough. So what we have been doing in Maharishi's TM organization is that we synchronize the times for our practice. And the most powerful of all the techniques is the TM City program, Yogic Flying. So we try to, if we can't be on one place, to do the practice at the same time. So we have in the morning 7:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning, and in the evening it's 18:30, 6:30 p.m., where we synchronize the times. But we are looking for some well-wisher. If you see how much money is spent for the war, for the tanks or the aeroplanes that can only destroy, if a government would come up and say we take only 1% of that money that is spent for the military, and we create a coherence-creating group that could be even the military or the police or some university students or even people in the prison. So our efforts are now to see with all of you where and how can we gather such a group. And if governments would be funding that or some billionaire, then we could employ people to come and live in one place and do it all together. So maybe RLuis, you would like to add to what I have said?
It's very easy to organize the groups because everyone is already organized wherever they are in communities and groups. It's a matter to interconnect them together, have some organization, have some knowledge, and everyone joins everyone else and see that we can create a system. We already have people doing it, but it's not enough for what is needed in Europe. So that's why we are calling all our yogic family to add and think together in every country how we can organize that. So it becomes the whole yogic family joining hands in a situation like that in Europe. That's why what we wanted to do. And as Lothar says, the super radiance is a very good way to maximize the coherence, and that is already well established. It's a matter to think together with all the different leaders how we can organize ourselves and which programs we can do together, make a plan and do it together. That's what we wanted to create the seed of this today.
To this, that as Maharishi Mahesh Yogi said one beautiful sentence, I always remember that the life is the field of all possibilities. And which possibility we choose, it becomes our life. So we should always remember that life is really the field of all possibilities, that we have abundant resources of creativity and intelligence in our consciousness. And it would be good that everybody think about this, as Dr. Luis J. said, where there is possibilities of people being together and they would like to adapt that technology, that knowledge for their benefit. But it is, when we think about coming together for creating world peace or with these practices, the first beneficiary is the person itself. And the world peace is a byproduct of that. So, and this is those people who realize that really, in a real sense, they can increase the value of their life and enjoy wherever they are, already in some groups. And they like just to add these practices in the morning and evening together. There is a possibility. So there are many, many possibilities. So I would like to ask all of you, because many people have different aspects of creativity, to join all together and share your possibility, which you find that it's possible to realize. So everybody who has any idea or seeing the possibility to do can share that with and send your idea to the international organization Maharishi, and then we collect all the ideas and all possibilities and start working on realization of these possibilities.
I think, Jadrankoji, you have such a nice leadership of all your yogic family. People can tell you what they think, and we can have a small meeting with a few of the people organizing and just think how we can move forward together. So all our Maharishi programs could be available for everyone, and at the same time, be united all in the same. So we use super radiance together, and we make thousands of people practicing together. This is not so difficult to organize, and you look like a great person that can coordinate that.
Can I say something, Jadranko?
Yes.
I'm Zora Maštrović from Croatia, now living in Pula in Istria. I want to remind people you are all a long time in the TM movement, that in the years between 1998 and 2002, Maharishi Ji wanted to move to Istria because he said that Istria will become the future spiritual center of the world. Istria, it's an old also prophecy in Vedas, that one small country which resembles India, which is Istria, on the southeast of Europe, will become the spiritual center. The point is, I have in front of myself the exclusive interview with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, which was printed in Jadranko knows this because he was at that time a national leader of Croatia, that Maharishi asked Jadranko as a national leader to organize many press conferences and to announce that Maharishi is coming to live in Istria. And then Aiki Hartman also found the spot a lot on the eastern coast of Istria when Maharishi wanted to build this international University of Natural Law and the TM Center and so on. But at that time it was stopped probably by a Catholic Church or so, because they didn't get the point that it is also good for them. Anyway, I moved here and I tried, because you are thinking about the possibility to inspire several thousand people to gather, and of course we know which is the number. I think we should start with a smaller number in a place which is most probable to develop, in a sense, what Maharishi Ji said. So we just have to follow, I don't say just, but for the beginning, Istria has, all the county has 200,000 people. Did I say correctly, Jadranko? 200,000. 200,000 people, and the biggest and the only university city in Istria is in Pula. This city has 60,000 people. So I counted. We needed for the county of Istria only several hundred people to start off. And I also found I was looking for some agricultural land, which is less expensive, of several hectares. Let us say I found something of how many? 10 hectares, which could be used. It is forest and just a land, of course, not for building, but if we inspire the local leaders, that this can become the center of international university and so on. What was my idea? I found something which cost only 5 euros per square meters, plus some taxes and so on. And it is in Istria, not far from Pula, about 20 kilometers. I was there. I went with Ukrainian people, some there and so on. So I sent a message to Monaji, Rajarajeshwari Monaji, that I have found these 10 hectares, what we can do. Many Germans and other people from Western Europe, our siddhas, TM teachers, governors, and meditators are retiring now. Some of us are elderly people. So many Germans, and I said other people, are buying old houses in Istria and living there. Why don't we, this would be about €500,000 euros. Why don't we buy this? And then, because it is cheap now, 10 hectares, and then inspire retired and other people to come here, and we need only I don't know, maybe 100 houses or less if we build some bigger houses where we can gather several hundred siddhas. Then we have the square root from Istria, and then this county could change. I went, I'm sorry I'm speaking so long, but I have to inform you. Last summer I asked the city governor of Pula to talk to him, and with a professor from Zagreb architecture and somebody else. We went, and it was not him, but his deputy and somebody else for strategic development of Pula. And we said about this knowledge and so on. Well, it was not functioning yet, but maybe if we get international people who will present this to the city mayor, maybe we can succeed, because it's not many people, So it is my proposal. I sent something to Monatly, and I can send you the interview. It is, of course, in Croatian, but it was, can you imagine, at that time, the 2nd of September 1998, there was an interview with Maharishi with his picture on the cover of the famous national journal by the name National, and inside there are pictures of Maharishi, of his house in Netherlands, and so on. So it is my proposal. If you want to consider this, I can also briefly write down something and send to our Raja Roset, to Lothar, to everybody who wants to deal with this and think about this, because also Istria is bilingual county. We are speaking here Croatian and Italian. Also, Momaya is close, and is not far away.
Yes, Zora, it's a beautiful proposal, and you can write about that, and then we promote and send to international and everybody. And because this is already for many years in the minds of, and in the consciousness somehow. So slowly the process of materialization is in the process. So I feel that some concrete action will be there, and the group can be established there. Thank you very much, Zora, for your proposal. And because now we went over the time of the webinar, and I would like to thank all of you participating on this webinar, especially our dear guests, our dear Girish Momaya ji, Lothar Pirc ji, and Dr. RLuis ji, and all the representatives from the Ministry, from the Embassy of India, and the European Yoga Federation, and all of you. And I hope we meet some other time with further programs and further advancement of our direction, which we took today, and which is the ancient direction. Just we are reminding ourselves. And thank you very much, all of you. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Judge Ranko. Thank you, everyone.
Jai Gurudev.